Today, we will discuss Basel norms. Let us first learn about Bank for International Settlements. This bank was established on May 17, 1930, and presently it has 60 member countries from all over the world. This bank fosters cooperation among central banks with a common goal of financial stability and common standards of banking regulations. Let us learn about Basel Committee. Basel is a city in Switzerland. It is the headquarters of Bank for International Settlements. The purpose of establishing this committee was to enhance financial stability by improving the quality of banking supervision worldwide. The committee's first meeting took place in February 1975, and meetings have been held regularly 3 or 4 times a year. Since its inception, the committee has published its landmark norms on capital adequacy, which are popularly known as Basel I, Basel II, and Basel III. Thus, Basel norms, they are the broad supervisory standards published by the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision. These norms focus on different types of risks to banks and the financial system. And the purpose of publishing these norms is to ensure that financial institutions should have enough capital on account to meet obligations and absorb unexpected losses. Let us first study about Basel I. Basel I guidelines were issued in 1988, and its main focus was on credit risk. These guidelines defined capital and structure of risk weights for banks. India adopted Basel I guidelines in 1999. In Basel I guidelines, capital was classified into two categories: Tier 1 capital and Tier 2 capital. Tier 1 capital is the core capital of the bank, which includes equity capital and disclosed reserves. Tier 2 capital is known as the supplementary capital. It includes undisclosed reserves, general provisions, cumulative non-redeemable preference shares, etc. The risk-weighted assets means assets with different risk profiles. Let us study capital adequacy ratio now. Capital adequacy ratio formula is equal to capital divided by risk-weighted assets. Numerator is the total of Tier 1 capital and Tier 2 capital, and denominator is the risk-weighted assets. Let us now learn about Basel II. In June 1999, Basel Committee issued a proposal for the new capital adequacy requirements, which would replace 1988 guidelines. Finally, in 2004, Basel II guidelines were issued. These guidelines were basically have three pillars: minimum capital requirements, supervisory review of an institution's capital adequacy and internal assessment process, and effective use of disclosure. These three parameters we will discuss one by one in this video. Parameter 1, minimum capital requirements. Basel II norms suggested that minimum capital requirements should be calculated based on three different types of risk: credit risk, operational risk, and market risk. Capital base was also classified into three categories: Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 capital. Second parameter was supervisory review process. This parameter addresses the issues related to risk management, transparency, and accountability And what should be the treatment of interest rate risk, credit risk, and operational risk? This pillar also recognizes the responsibility of management of the banks to develop an internal capital assessment process and setting capital targets which are in accordance with the bank's risk profile. Parameter 3 was about disclosure and market discipline. The objective of this pillar was to complement the minimum capital requirements and supervisory review process. It was made mandatory for banks to disclose their capital adequacy ratio, risk exposure, etc. to the central bank. These disclosures would assist various stakeholders to understand the intricacies of the bank's operations and strategies in a competitive business environment. This will also help them in making their investment decisions. Let us now discuss about Basel III guidelines. Basel III guidelines were released in 2010. These guidelines were introduced in response to the financial crisis of 2008. The purpose was to further strengthen the system as banks in the developed economies were undercapitalized and over-leveraged. Thus, Basel III guidelines were issued with three objectives, and these three objectives were to improve the ability of banking sector to absorb shocks arising from financial and economic stress, to improve risk management and governance, and to strengthen transparency and disclosure of banks. Basel III guidelines proposed major changes over Basel II guidelines. Let us discuss those changes one by one. First point was better capital requirements. Now, better quality capital means the higher loss absorbing capacity. It means that the banks will have a stronger base of capital, which would help the banks to withstand periods of stress. Banks will be required to hold a capital conservation buffer of 2.5%. The purpose of creating this buffer was to ensure that the banks should have an extra cushion of capital that can be used to absorb losses during periods of financial stress. Third point is counter-cyclical buffer. The counter-cyclical buffer will range from 0% to 2.5%. This buffer was introduced with the objective to increase capital requirement in good times and to decrease the capital requirement in bad times. Fourth point is enhancement in Tier 1 capital requirements. The minimum requirement for common equity was raised from 2% to 4.5% of total risk-weighted assets in Basel III. Overall, Tier 1 capital requirement was also raised from 4% to 6%. Next point is leverage ratio. Basel III guidelines introduced leverage ratio which would act as safety net for the banks. It implies a minimum amount of loss absorbing capital relative to all of a bank's assets and off balance sheet exposures. Next point is net stable funding ratio. This ratio was introduced in Basel III in order to ensure that banks should have a stable funding profile in relation to the composition of their assets and off balance sheet activities. The limit on net stable funding will encourage better assessment of funding risk across on and off balance sheet items, and it would also promote funding stability. Our next point is liquidity coverage ratio. Liquidity coverage ratio was also introduced in Basel III norms, and it implies that a company should hold enough high quality liquid assets to meet net cash outflows over a stressed 30-day period. And the last point is additional requirements for systemically important banks. Some additional requirements were also introduced for systematically important banks, which included additional loss absorbency and strengthened arrangements for cross-border supervision and resolutions. I hope that this video is helpful to all of you. Thank you.